everybody. Welcome to Mission Church. We're in our small groups right now. We're going through our series, I Am Enough. And I'm Woody. I'm one of the pastors on staff here, and we're so excited that you're in a small group. We're so excited that during this year, you are making time for community. We all need that right now. And so we're so glad that you're joining our church in this small group semester and going through this series with us, in this series, I Am Enough. And so we're talking all about Jesus and who Jesus claims that he is. So in our main messages, we've been going through the book of John and looking at all the statements of Jesus there. And in these small group videos, we're going to be walking you through some Old Testament passages and stories that talk about who God is and how we can connect those to the same stories that we're really hearing where Jesus talks about himself in our services. And so it's going to be a great semester. We're so excited that you're joining us for this, and it's going to be great. And I want to spend this first session jumping into these ideas, talking about this topic of the bread of life. The bread of life. And really, this idea and even this story we're going to read about hits at the heart of something that humans have always wrestled with, and that's having enough. Feeling like we have all we need. Feeling like the things in our life are good enough, are sufficient to make us happy. It's so interesting to see that every kind of person throughout the ages struggles with this idea of having enough or feeling like everything they need is there. And I know you're thinking maybe if I had $1 million, maybe I would be happier and I'd feel like I had enough, right? Or at least I would love God to give me the opportunity to try having $1 million and see how I felt, right? But everybody feels this way. In fact, one of the most well-known, most popular people in culture today, Post Malone, right? Certain people are like, oh yeah, Post Malone, and some of you are like, Post Malone? But it's so interesting. I remember hearing one of these songs from his album a couple years ago, and I remember him literally saying these words in the song, that everything I've done, all this money I have, all the cars I bought, all the jewelry, all the fame and success I have, and he said these exact words, none of it could, quote, satisfy my soul. And mind you, this is probably one of the top 10 artists on Spotify. He probably has millions of dollars. Anything that a lot of us would think, if I just had that thing, then I would feel like I had enough. But it's not just rich people that feel this way, it's everybody. In fact, a lot of psychologists have kind of come to the conclusion that the more money you have, it doesn't make you happier. Meaning all the areas we look in life doesn't mean we're going to feel fulfilled. Doesn't mean we're going to have enough. How does the old song go? I can't get no satisfaction. Maybe we can put the music over me singing, I can't, whatever. Or, the famous theologian, as they put it, mo money, mo problems. Right. So we're going to read a story from Exodus. We're going to see how God does something incredible depending on how we will come to him. So if you have your Bible, turn to Exodus 16 with me. I'm going to read Exodus 16 verses 2 through 8, and then we're going to skip ahead and read 13 through 16 as well. So Exodus 16 verse 2. This is Moses and the people of Israel who have just been freed from slavery. Moses leads the people out, and now they're kind of wandering around in the desert. And they're hungry. Verse 2. The whole congregation of the people of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. And the people of Israel said to them, would that we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, and when we sat by the meat pots and ate bread to the full. For you have brought us out into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Behold, I am about to rain bread from heaven for you. And the people shall go out and gather a day's portion every day, that I may test them whether they will walk in my way or not. On the sixth day, when they prepare what they bring in, it will be twice as much as what they gather daily." So Moses and Aaron said to all the people of Israel, "At evening you shall know that it is what the Lord who brought you out of the hand of Egypt. And in the morning you shall see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your grumbling against the Lord. For what are we that you grumble against us?" And Moses said, "When the Lord gives you in the evening meat to eat, and in the morning bread to the full, because the Lord has heard your grumbling, that you grumble against him, what are we? Your grumbling is not against us, but against the Lord." And he continues in verse 13. God fulfills what he said he would do. In the evening, quail came up and covered the camp, and in the morning dew lay around the camp. And when the dew had gone up, there was on the face of the wilderness a fine flake-like thing, fine as frost on the ground. When the people of Israel saw it, they said to one another, "What is it?" For they did not know what it was. And Moses said to them, "It is the bread that the Lord has given you to eat. This is what the Lord has commanded. Gather of it, each one of you, as much as he can eat. You shall take each an omer, according to the number of the persons that each of you has, as much as he can eat." And so I want us to realize what's going on in this story here. First of all, do you notice kind of the irony of this situation, right? The people have just been led out of slavery from Egypt by God. But yet they're in the middle of the desert and they say, "You know what, Moses, to be honest, I wish we were still slaves in Egypt, because at least there we got bread and we had food to eat. We had the food that we wanted, and it's much better than being out here in the desert starving." So they come with this attitude of complaining. And Moses even said it, that you're not grumbling to me, you're grumbling to God, you're complaining to God. And so they have this very ironic attitude that even though God's done so much for them, they can't seem to get past the fact that they're in a difficult circumstance. And I know it's easy to judge them, right? But how often have we been in that same situation where God's freed us, God's done something amazing for us, but a week later, "God, why would you let this happen to me? Why would you put me through this?" Right? So I want to point out a couple observations as God provides for them and does something amazing, gives them the food they needed, even though they were in the middle of the desert, even though they were complaining against God. I want to give you 2 points, 2 observations, and I want to give you one question at the end to start some wheels turning maybe, and push you into some discussion together. The first one I want us to realize is that God hears us. God hears us. And I want you to be encouraged in this, whatever you're going through right now, God hears you. I don't know what kind of year you had. God hears you. I don't know what the financial situation looks like right now. Maybe you're like them, worried about how you're going to have food on the table and have enough for your family. God hears you. I don't know what the health situation looks like for you or your family right now, but God hears you. God hears each and every one of us. In fact, a really amazing Bible verse that describes how God hears us is Psalm 116, verse 2. And it says, "Because he inclined his ear to me, I will call on him as long as I live." So there's this idea that God inclines his ear to, almost like he's bending down his ear to listen very closely to me. Like when you're walking and you have your headphones on or your AirPods in and someone stops and they're trying to ask you a question and you pull out your headphones to focus on them and listen to them. God gives us his undivided attention in that way, and he hears us. So we pray. God hears us, so we talk to him. God hears us, so we come to him and trust that he will provide. And God hears the people of Israel. Even though they come with a complaining attitude, God hears them and he Well, that's going to lead into our next point. God provides. God provides for us. God hears them and God provides for them. This seems like a questionable idea, but I want you to think back on this year and even go through and retrace some of the small details in your mind. How did God provide? You know, maybe there was less money coming in and maybe there was less job security, but you had more time with your family this year than you've ever had. And maybe there were less vacations, but maybe there was more time in the quiet with God, and maybe there were more minutes and hours spent in prayer this year than in the last 2 years combined. That God provides even through wild circumstances. God provides for us, just like he did for the Israelites, even though they were in wild circumstances. God provides. So God hears us and God provides for us. And the question I want to kind of wrap up this time with for you to think about is, what's your heart attitude when you come to God? What's your heart attitude when you come to God? See, I think there's two ways often that we can come to God. One is critical and one is grateful. Critical and grateful. And you see the Israelites here, they came to God with a very critical attitude, almost blaming things on God and saying, God, we wish you would have left us in worse circumstances because it would have felt better to us. We would have felt like we had enough and we would have felt happier there. But what if we approach God instead with a grateful attitude? If we approach God with a heart attitude that just glows with gratitude and thankfulness. You see, I've never met an extremely grateful person that I hated. Now, maybe I've met an extremely grateful person that annoyed me because I wish I was as grateful as they were. But I've never met a grateful person that wasn't a joy to be around. I think that's something great for us to look at and to model this week. Are you a grateful person? What's your heart attitude when you come to God? Is it critical, complaining, or is it grateful, looking for the good in every circumstance, even when it doesn't feel like it? Because when we come to God with a grateful heart attitude, it changes how we look at the world around us. And so we aren't like everybody else in the world that no matter how much we have, we never feel satisfied. With Jesus, we can have nothing and still be satisfied. Which ties in to Jesus in John 6:35. Jesus says, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me shall not hunger, and whoever believes in me shall never thirst. Take a deep breath. Breathe out. Jesus is enough for us right now. Whoever comes to him will not hunger. Whoever believes in him will never thirst. In Jesus, we have all we need. In God, we have all we need. Thank you guys so much for being with us. We hope you have a great discussion and time of prayer together in your small group. Thank you.